Hey everyone, Yukeen here. In this video we're going to be going over Sharon Advent, mechanics, general team compositions, and an overall guide. The first thing to note, we can check out the party info to see what sort of mechanics we're going to be dealing with. Olive is a highly recommended unit, even if you don't have her built up. The reason being is for the charm immunity by 100%. Increases for all allies if she is in the party. This is an especially important mechanic as Sharon, the last boss in the Advent, has a high chance to apply charms and has a number of mechanics where by counterattacking she has 100% to apply charm to the character that attacked her. And she deals a significantly increased amount of damage to characters that are charmed. Amulet is also recommended in here. He provides freeze immunity. I personally would not recommend him. The reason being is freeze is not a aspect of the Advent that you're going to be having to deal with on the actual final fight, unless she just happens to spawn one of the freezing enemies. But again, you can generally kill that character quickly enough. I'm running a Rue on my Sharon team. At the end of her turn, she can remove one abnormal status from everyone on my team, which kind of entirely negates the freeze and charm aspects of this Advent. So I'm not going to be running either of the recommended units. But then Cordelia is one where if you do not have kind of very strong units, I would highly recommend her for that 50% attack bonus to all your parties if she's, or to all your party members if she's in the party. We're going to run with a number of different teams. But generally, I like to run with Ramu and Rue. And then for your damage dealers, it's pretty open. You can even run like Morrigan. For instance, I can run double Morrigan. If we edit this team, maybe take out Saya, put in a Ruby for the elemental advantage, and we can run with like a helper, Morrigan even. Even though she's not a very strong element for this, you're taking fire units into a water admin dungeon. She still does a decent amount of damage, and there are enemies in here that you need to kill that are not water. So the first round of the Advent, you saw 2 monkeys, and then they spawned 2 additional monkeys. You're going to want to focus these 2, the original ones. You can tell they're in slot 2 and 4 of the positions. So we're going to just focus them down first. The reason being, again, they can spawn more monkeys, as you saw at the very start of the fight. And at this point, they also have a small chance to apply the Intoxicated debuff. This is essentially a blind effect, lowers your character's accuracy, and then at the end of the debuff duration, the character will become stunned for 1 turn. Fortunately, again, this is a mechanic where if you have Rue, you can essentially ignore it, because she will also remove that effect at the end of her turn. Once you've killed them, you'll go into round 2. Round 2, you will be facing 3 enemies. You will want to kill the enemy in the middle. He's a fire element. The reason being is after he attacks 1 time, he'll get a buff, and he'll grow to a very large size. And then if he gets a chance to attack a 2nd time, he will self-destruct and deal a significant amount of damage to your team. The blue enemy will freeze enemy characters that attack him for 2 turns, and he also has a small chance to freeze whoever he attacks. And lastly, the one on the very right is a wind element, and he gets a stacking attack buff whenever he is attacked. In this case, just to show off the middle enemy's mechanic, we're going to ignore him for now and kill the other ones. So here he has the over fermented buff, so the next time he goes he's going to explode. And then here we can see these 2 characters have that intoxicated buff or debuff, and Rue, I'm going to attack the blue enemy, which will freeze her, but at the end of her turn she will just clear out that status effect for your entire team. Ramu can also reduce the turn duration of any of these status effects, which for at least these freeze effects will effectively remove them. We're going to defend here just to show how much damage he really does. So he did about 4.5 to 6,000 damage to my entire team. Most of my characters are 4 to 6 star, with Rue being my only 2 star. So that was if you're not running very high defense, or you haven't entirely built up yet, that is a aspect that can spell failure for your run. Next we have Sharon for the final fight. Throughout the fight she will summon minions that you face throughout the first 2 rounds. She does have a buff that cannot be removed, charming ability, that will provide her with a 100% chance to charm any characters that she counterattacks. And throughout the fight she will put a counterattack buff up that will give her a 100% chance to counterattack. Here you can see she just normally counterattacked, and my Ramu now has the charm effect. So we're just going to continue doing normal damage. After her first attack she does provide herself with a 2-turn hit back buff that gives her a guaranteed counterattack chance. And then from this point it's generally recommended that you would kill any additional minions that are on the field instead of attacking her and risking getting that charm. Though if you are running a Rue, you can attack back, or you can attack her through the charm effect. Ruby does have a chance to remove that counter strike buff. Rue also has a chance to remove it with her first skill. The major HP threshold that you're going to be wanting to watch out for is 50,000. At that point she will go into her second and enrage phase. And to prepare for that, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to use Rue's healing skill, her second skill, to provide a abnormal status immunity to 3 of my characters for 2 turns. The reason being is once she goes into her enrage phase, she has a attack that will attack most of your team, if not all of your team, and has a very high chance of applying a 2-turn charm effect. So we're going to want to provide this to my main damage dealers, in this case Ruby and Morgan and Rue, just in case something goes wrong and she needs to revive someone. We're going to just top off before we put her down into her enrage mode. So once she says, "How about a drink on me?" you know she's gone into enrage, and she'll start dealing a significant amount of damage and attacking your entire team. In this case, my Berserk Morgan, she was able to kill her, So she revived with Berserk and just finished her back off. You can run any number of team compositions for this. If you have Esna, she's pretty strong for this as well. So we can put her on the team, and Cordelia for that 50% attack bonus. Where's my Esna? There she is. So you can run something like this, or just any general DPS that you have with support units, preferably healers that can remove abnormal statuses or prevent them in the first place is highly recommended. Esna is very good for this because she does have a chance when killing an enemy to apply mental seal to other enemies, and then also on her third skill to apply mental seal to enemies. And then when that enemy goes, if they take an action, they'll take 50% of their health and damage. So here in this case, we're going to actually kill the middle one first, per the recommended strategy, just so he doesn't deal damage to the team. And then you can, whichever one enemy you want to kill next, it's pretty free. If you don't have, say, a Rue who just removes abnormal statuses from your entire team, you can always go for the freezing enemy first, and then when it's only the last one up, you can then kind of defend, heal back up, while recovering your cooldown or your cooldowns on your characters before you get to the final fight. Again, in this case, I have Rue, so I don't really have to worry about freezing. By that time that character's turn comes back again, my Rue will have gone, or will have taken her turn, and can unfreeze them. So we're going to get her to about 50,000. Prepare for that stun, or the charms, by applying the status immunity to my damage dealers ahead of time. So here she's enraged, but I should be able to finish her off before she gets a chance to attack. So again, pretty open-ended. If you don't have a lot of damage dealers, you can use Cordelia for that 50% attack bonus. The admin dungeon's easy enough as long as you have something to deal with that crowd control effect, that charm effect. You can use Deimos, Karen, Ramu, Rue. They all have skills that can either remove it, reduce the turn duration, or some other effect that will assist you with that mechanic. Or again, you can be using Olive just to remove that charm chance in the first place, if you really needed to. And that is how you do Sharon Advent.